WCBI election coverage is brought to you by Carl Hogan Honda. Pick it out here, carlhoganhonda.com. And pick it up here, Carl Hogan Honda.
Welcome back, everyone. Joining me live in the studio, newly elected District Attorney Scott Colom. Thank you, Scott, for joining me in the studio. Congratulations on your win yesterday. Has it all sunk in for you?
I don't think it's sunk in yet, but I'm just so excited that the voters have trusted me with this position, and I'm just honored to have received their support. The turnout was great, and I just want to thank all the voters. They really came out for me, and I promise to honor that support.
Right, and speaking of that support, talk to me about your campaign trail and your experience on the road, maybe with your team. What was that like for you?
It was tough. I have to tell you, this is my first time running for office, and a lot of the people that were working with me, such as my wife, Nadia, we had to come together and put together a strategy that we thought worked, and we did it. And you know, the thing about it was we knew the key was getting our message out and making sure we define our message and not letting anybody else define it. And I think people supported the idea that we needed to have good priorities in our criminal justice system, and that my ideas were ideas they could support.
All right, and speaking of that message, during your campaign, you talked a lot about violence being an issue in our community. Right. Do you want to talk about how, as a district attorney, you plan on tackling that issue? Well,
the first thing I want to do is I want to take our best lawyers and have them in a violent crime unit. I want to have the investigators for each of the law enforcement agencies in the 4 counties assign one of the investigators to be a part of that unit. And I want to have the investigators from my district attorney's office be involved in the investigation of violent crime before the indictment. Because I think we've got to make sure we're getting the information as soon as possible and the investigations go well from the beginning, because that way you don't have the mistakes in the long run.
Right.
You know, you got to make sure when it comes to violent crime that you prosecute the right person and that the person is found guilty, so there can be a clear message to the public that we're not going to tolerate violence.
Right, definitely. And let's get back to your win again. I read you were the youngest Justice Court judge in Lowndes County history, and now you are the first African American to be elected to District 16 as the district attorney.
Yeah.
Your reaction on that?
Well, you know, the great thing about it is I got support from African American voters and white voters, and I appreciate all of those voters the same. And you know, I promise to honor all those voters, and even the people that didn't vote for me. I know that they probably may have thought that, you know, the other my opponent had more experience, but I'm going to work as hard as I can to earn their trust and support, and to let them know that I'm going to do whatever's in my power to keep them safe.
All right. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you on board with us this morning. I know you had a tiring night last night, but you were still able to come on our set and do this interview. Again, thank you so much for coming. We hope to see you again.
Thank you, everybody.
And keep us updated on some of the issues that your team will be tackling. Thanks again, Scott.
Thank you.
All righty. Let's hand it on over to Isaac Williams. He is keeping an eye on our forecast out there. Isaac.